Mustang Island is an 18-mile-long barrier island that sits between Corpus Christi Bay and the open Gulf of Mexico. The town of Aransas sits at the northern end of the island, and Mustang Island State Park covers the bottom end. The island's almost entirely made of sand. It's believed to have formed about 2,500 years ago as sand and other sediment built these sandbars up. And the first known historical record of Mustang Island was made by a Spanish explorer named Alonso Alvarez de Pineda, who charted the island in 1519. The Karankawa were likely living here at that time, but the first recorded history of the Karankawa on the island came in the early 1700s by a French explorer scouting for colony sites. The famous French pirate Jean Lafitte spent time on Mustang Island in the 1820s, and there's a legend that a Spanish dagger with a silver spike driven through it is somewhere on the island, marking the spot where Lafitte buried a chest of gold and jewels. At some point along the way, horses made it to the island, and a herd of wild mustangs roamed the small island for potentially as long as a few hundred years. We don't know for sure how the horses got here in the first place, but it's suspected that they were either brought here intentionally by the Spanish or swam to the island after a shipwreck. At one point, it was known as Lost Horse Island, and then that eventually evolved into Mustang Island, that it's known as today. By the 1840s, there were very few, if any, Karankawa left on the island, and settlers began moving in and starting up ranches. And it's a tough place to start up a ranch because there's very little fresh water on the island, but the impact of those ranches was enough that by the late 1800s, the herds of wild mustangs had disappeared from Mustang Island. Sam and Ada Wilson were leaders in the oil business in this area in the 1930s, and they purchased over 6,000 acres on Mustang Island, with almost 4,000 of that eventually becoming the state park.